Introducing tonight's speaker is our trustee and treasurer, Kate Saunders.
Thank you, Ann. A pleasure to introduce this dynamic duo over here. We have tonight with us Andrew Carlin, known to my husband as Andy Carlin.
Oh, I like it.
And he is the director of Waupaca County's Emergency Management. Is there another word in there?
Yep.
Okay. And he has experience as a paramedic prior to that, and just has a lot of emergency training. And when asked about what does it take to do this job, and he said it's a lot of hands-on, practical learning experience on how to deal with crisis. And with him is Eric Halverson. Eric has served on our fire department here in Waupaca for many, many years, member of the hazmat team, and also rode the position of, what would you call it, front seat to my husband or one of the other firefighters for wildland fires. The gopher, the gopher for wildland fires here in Waupaca County for many years. And I'm just really pleased to introduce them to you and let them take over and tell you how to be prepared for the unexpected.
Okay, is this loud enough? Can everybody hear me okay?
I'm not sure you're not working.
Sir. Make sure I got it on. Uh-oh.
And you try a little closer.
How's that? Oh, I think I had it on. It's on. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Put this down before I want to show you what's coming next. Okay, like Kate said, Eric and I have been in emergency services. Between us, we've got like 60 years of experience. I started with Waupaca County in 2002, right after 9/11. And our career changed so much after 9/11. Before 9/11, there were no emergency management. It was just all experience, field experience. I was paramedic forever. Eric and I have both been on the hazmat team since it started back in 1992. I have that much fire experience. Eric has that much fire experience. So we've experienced a lot of stuff. We've seen a lot of stuff. It helps us with our planning, our everyday planning and stuff that we do for the county, just to try to keep the residents as safe as we can. So what we're going to talk about tonight, what can you do before the emergency management gets there? What can you do before police, fire, EMS get there? When there's a big disaster, there may be a delay getting help to you guys. So we're going to share a little bit about what you can do to protect yourself and your family tonight.
What we work on, I guess that one works really good. What we work on every day is basically this wheel where we start with the mitigation process. If we can get the problem to go away, the risk to go away, we don't have to worry about the other three things on the wheel. So we look at, first of all, can we totally eliminate the risks that we're going to have? The risk in your home, you may have trees overhanging your house, or you have things that you just don't need there. Can you eliminate them? Are you close to a river? Things like that. And you can't obviously move your house away from the river, but if you can't eliminate the risk, then we want to reduce the risk. And if you can't do that, maybe we like to move it to another county when we can. But that's not always the problem. First problem with mitigation is it is expensive. Most of the mitigation projects that we do at county level, we're looking for grants to do that because people just don't have money laying around to move houses, or most of ours are municipal projects. We're working on the project right now in one of the communities where we're going to try and get the community center moved to a little bit higher ground because it floods quite often, probably not every year. So that's one of the projects that's there. One of the other things in mitigation too is just zoning changes that maybe we can't change what's already there, but we're going to prevent things from happening again. We're not letting people build in the river bottoms down along the Wolf River. You have to stay so far back away from Wapaka River, the Bears River, the other rivers in the county here. But we're getting a little bit smarter. You look at a lot of the places that, I don't want to go to New Orleans, but that's one of those things. When you build a city 16 feet below sea level, there's no mitigation process down there. We're not thinking about what the risks are. It's going to happen again. It's going to do that. The next portion on our wheel, we get into the preparedness, and that's probably where I spend most of my time. We work on developing plans, getting those out in the last 2 years. A lot of time has been spent with the schools, where we're trying to get all the schools to have a common plan that's helpful to the responders. When you have a big event going on, it's not just going to be one fire department, one police department coming in, one EMS service. You're going to probably have it from all over the county. They're all coming in. So we want everybody on the same plan, so that when Iola Fire comes down, when Waiwega Fire comes in, when whoever, you're calling an apple and an orange. It's going to be a lot easier for them. It's easier for us. We can basically take one plan, send it out, you tweak it a little bit to make it fit your community and what you need to do with it, and then it's something usable, and you can use it across the board. The little portion, I don't have my pointer with me, but the little portion here is when an incident happens. You can't avoid them. They're going to happen. In our jobs, we don't deal with that portion of it. We don't respond to an incident. Yes, we do. No, we don't. When an incident happens, we're out the door, and we're starting on the recovery process right away. Almost lost it there. In that response portion of it, that's what makes the news. That's where all the publicity is. It's usually pretty short-lived, usually expensive. That's where the lives are lost. We don't like to deal with that if we don't have to. That's where we get back into the preparedness and mitigation portion of it, and that's what we want to push. Our job right away, as soon as something bad happens, we're going into the recovery phase right away. How are we going to get back to, and we call it the new normal. Once you have something bad go on in the community, it's never going to be the same again. You'll get it as close as you can, but you can't put trees back up. You know, buildings blow down, you're going to build new ones. They burn down, you're going to build new ones, but you can't make it the same. So then it kind of goes around in the circle. When we get into the recovery phase, that's where we learn our lessons on what we need to mitigate, what the risks are. And that also goes right across the board and goes back into your preparedness for your planning. And I think what we're going to get into next year is we're going to go in and talk a little bit more on how you can do your preparedness for your own homes and what you need there. There's a couple of slides that are going to follow here. I'm just going to skip them because I don't like PowerPoints.
The important thing with mitigation, for every dollar that you spend in mitigation, you save $4. So if you cut that tree down that's out in front of your house that's rotten, if you spend the money and cut the tree down and it doesn't fall in your house, you save a whole bunch of money. So that's the things that we try to look at. These are just the things that Eric talked about. This here's just a picture of our EOC. When you have an incident, you have the incident, you have the big fire, or you have the big train wreck, and all the responders are out there working. The other part of the incident is the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center. That's where we work. That's where we live. And that's where we're starting to do the recovery. We do, if the department's out working on the incident and need more resources and they can't find them, we find the resources for them. Eric and I, through our office, we're the link to all the state aid, all the federal aid, and we're the ones that do all the paperwork for the state and federal aid. And so we're in an incident. The second that it happens, we're out doing damage assessment on the properties and stuff and seeing what our damage is. The last presidential disaster declaration we had for Wapaka County was June 11th, 2001. We remember big storm days. That's the one that went from La Crosse to Manitowoc and just knocked trees down everywhere. Straight line winds, a lot of hail, a lot of damage. Those are big days for us. It took us, I think we were 2.5 years into it. We're still doing paperwork on that incident, federal paperwork, to try to recoup some money. We were able to recoup a lot of money. Federal money came back into the communities to help them recover, removing brush and protective measures and stuff.
And I still have the books on my desk from the Waiwega train wreck.
That's our big one. Yeah, and that is. Okay, are you guys ready for this? This is just a simple storm. All the pictures that you're going to see popping up here, those are the things that I've been to. This was, I don't remember if this one was a straight line wind or a small tornado. I think this was a straight line wind. Do you know the difference between a straight line wind and a tornado? One's curly and one's straight. They're both going to be fast enough wind to destroy something. So, you know, try to mitigate the things around your house that may fall on your house. Look at that for winds. Big tree on a house or on a car. All big pine trees around a house. And we talk about mitigating things for storms. When you have a house, your cabin out in the woods, surrounded by pine trees, you get a wildland fire coming through there. If you don't have that buffer built around your property, there's nothing there to save your house. And the firemen can't get in there and save your house if it's got fuel all the way around it. Yeah, that's a destroyed property. Straight line winds love garage doors. This was Gays Mills back in 2007. Emergency management departments in the state are small. We're the department, Eric and I. There's only 2 of us. Some counties have 1. Some of the bigger counties have up to 5 or 6 emergency management people working in the office. So we have to help our neighbor out. This is from Gays Mills back in 2007, and I went down there and worked down there for 2 days, helping them with my job when I went down there was to identify the homes that had the most damage, because we had the governor coming in and we had some top people from FEMA coming in to look at the flooding, but we had to show them the worst case scenario. So we had to map all that out. And this was several days after the flood. It was a mess down there. This was still up for debate back in 2010, whether it was straight line winds or a tornado. We kind of got both answers on that. It was either an F1 or a straight line winds. And their biggest problem is their garage doors were open. Had their garage doors been closed, they might not have that much damage, but that wind gets inside of those metal buildings and disrupts them apart. That storm came up out of nowhere. There's another picture of Gays Mills. This was everywhere down there. People lost everything down there. And, you know, I don't know if anybody remembers Soldiers Grove back 30 years ago, where they moved the entire community away from the Kickapoo River. And Gays Mills is starting to do that now. They've moved out most of their industrial out of that area. Highway had a shop down there. They moved that out of there. And there's a lot of the houses are getting moved or elevated down in that area. So that's an ongoing emergency management program in Gays Mills. That's going to be going on for years and years and years. And you know, things like this, they still haven't recovered totally from this flood back in 2007. It takes years to recover. These are just some weather statistics for Waupaca County from 1950 until now. We've had 17 tornadoes, 6 deaths, but that was a long time ago. 10 injuries, 5.291 million in damage just from tornadoes for Waupaca County. Thunderstorms with your straight line winds, 3 injuries, 2 million in property damage, 143 in crop damage. Strong winds, 26,000. Winter storms, 31. We figured Wisconsin. We actually tried to get a presidential declaration last year with all the cold weather that we had. We didn't have a lot of snow cover, and municipalities had a lot of water lines freezing up, a lot of sewers freezing up. So we did compiled all this information to send to FEMA and then or to the governor and then FEMA and then hopefully on to the president. And we have to show a certain amount of damage. I don't remember the numbers now, it changes every year, but so much for our per capita for our county, and then so much for the state. And we well surpassed those numbers. There was just a few counties that we could show enough damage to surpass that the state threshold. Sent all our paperwork in, and we were rejected. They said, well, it's part of living in Wisconsin. So we sent some more paperwork back in, and we were rejected again. So, you know, they just say that that's part of living in Wisconsin, but I say living in New Orleans, that's part of flooding. So we tried hard, and there's some communities that had, hundreds of yards of lines frozen up and stuff, and they spent a lot of money. Then one of the other things that we look at all the risks that we call it an all hazards approach. What can happen in your community? And we try to protect you from those things. First one is all weather stuff. Eric and I, we've been on the hazmat team since 1992, 93 when we started the hazmat team for Waupaca County. This is one of the calls we went on, happened to be up in Portage County. We also covered Portage County and Winchester County. This was a truckload of, do you remember? Elm? Elm, yep. And coldest day in the year, we were sitting up there with this. Rolled off the side of the road, luckily it didn't leak a whole lot. We were able to offload that truck before they tipped it back up. This was up also in Portage County. You can kind of see the green stuff coming out of here. It was a toad of acid, 43% sulfuric acid, really, really nasty stuff. And I had the back of a semi, I rolled out of the back of a semi, and then they called us in to help them mitigate it.
He forgot to close the doors.
Yeah. And he went over railroad tracks and about himself. Yeah. He had a whole bunch of problems. We won't go into all the legal problems he had. And the last one, that was the coldest day. This was the hottest day. Oh, it was hot up there that day. This was down in Winchester County. We had a truck outside of Watoma roll over, and we were called down to assist them. It doesn't look that bad from that angle, but if you look a little closer, it's full of amphil. You know, amphil is the product that took down the Murrah Federal Building, and we had a whole truckload of it on its side. Still in the container.
Yep, ammonium nitrate and fuel oil. All they need is a plastic cap.
Yeah.
They were on the little compartment, but you can't quite see it on this picture, but they're in a little side compartment on the truck.
Yeah. We removed them as quickly as we could. As long as there's not an ignition source, it's a pretty stable product. But it had a lot of people nervous, including us. Oh, there's a little closer sign. Yeah. This was up on Highway 10, just outside of Waupaca. It looks bad. Bad from the highway when you're driving by, but it's just nitrogen. It's a lot of the air that we breathe is nitrogen. Truck failed to negotiate a little bit of a curve and drove off the road. Things like this, we don't have a normal day usually. When this happens at 8 o'clock in the morning, that's our day now. We try to schedule as many things as we can, but this is our day now. But still, when something like this happens, we're out notifying the neighbors and trying to keep everybody out of the area and safe until we have the incident taken care of. Everybody remembers this one? Mm-hmm. Eric and I lived down there for 3 weeks.
What year was that?
What's that?
What year?
That was March 6, 1996. Yep. We remember the day well. That was we had a lot of lucky people that day. A couple more pictures of it. 21 tank cars. 21 tank cars of liquid petroleum, and none of them blew up. Very fortunate. So these are the things that are in the back of our mind all the time when we're doing all of our plans. In our office, we must have 75 plans that we're responsible for the county, some bigger than others. That's where the feed mill was.
Part of the problem here is this is a lot bigger than what any of us had dealt with before, so we started calling around to industry and saying, you know, are there any experts in this? Well, we ended up getting this guy out of Alabama, was it?
Yeah.
He came up, looked in, and said, oh, that's not a problem. I'm going to drill a hole inside of it and blow it up. That's what he did.
Yeah. Yeah. He brought some explosives in, and the very last car that we had was too volatile to do anything with, so they put a charge on both ends, blew a hole in one end, and then blew it out through the other end. Interesting day. That was our second. The first day we had this big atomic cloud looking thing, and that was our second one. We let that off. But you know, these are the things to think about in your neighborhood. What's in your neighborhood? Are you close to a highway? Do you have any chance of flooding? I've been on, I don't know, like 5 flooding calls since I started in 2002, and none of them had anything to do with the river or a lake. It was exposed basements, and when the frost was in the ground yet, and the snow melted fast, and there was heavy rains, started coming in their windows and doors. So you don't have to live by a river to have flooding. Things you can do. When's the last time you talked to your insurance agent and made sure that you were covered? Make sure you're covered. You should meet with your insurance agent once a year and just go over your policies. Make sure you're covered. Look around your property. Do you have any industry in your area? Eric's main job at our office, back in 1992, Bhopal, India had a chemical release of cyanide, killed a lot of people. Our government said that's not going to happen here. People are going to know what's in their community. So that started EPCRA, Emergency Planning Community Right to Know. So now, if you have a factory in your neighborhood, you come and see us and we can tell you what chemicals they have in that factory. We can tell you all about the chemical that's in that factory and how to protect yourself from that chemical in your factory. We track all of they call it an EHS, an extremely hazardous chemical, and there's a big list of them. And we've got 28 facilities in Wapaka County that have extremely hazardous chemicals. Some of them aren't real bad, it's just some acids and stuff that's not going to escape the building and hurt the neighbor. But we do have some chlorines, we have some ammonias that have a risk of escaping their container and making us go to work.
Almost every community has the sulfuric acid, like was in that little tote in the middle of the road. Your cellular companies, telephone companies, forklifts, it's all in batteries, all in storage batteries, that sulfuric acid in there. Community-wise in Wapaka County, if you live in Iola, there's not anything real scary up that way. Littonville, nothing too scary. Marion, nothing. You get toward the southern part of the county, and then there's some chemicals in there that they're in very stable conditions. You know, and have to be a very, very bad thing that happened in a process. But most of it's pretty safe. I mean, you look at it, but you got to know. I carry with me because I never know where I'm going to be. I've got a little flash drive I keep in my pocket with all that information on it. I got to find a computer someplace, and I have it at my disposal.
So that's Eric's everyday job, is to track those chemicals and get the information out to the fire departments and the responders that would be dealing with that chemical. Hazardous material events in Wapaka County, we average only 5 calls a year, which is a good thing. Most of them are hydrocarbons, which would be your fuel oils, gasolines, oils, that kind of stuff. We have responded to acids, ammonias, fertilizers. We've had a couple of winter spills in the last couple of years that have been pretty significant. Who's coming, and when are they coming to help? If anybody remembers that June storm back in 2001, responders couldn't get anywhere. The trees were down, the power lines were in the trees. We couldn't get to you. Some people were out of power for several days, and there's a lot that you can do to help yourself. I'm not telling you to go out and be a hoarder, but you need a kit. Make a kit, and we'll get into that a little bit. Make a plan and be informed. Not telling you to go out and be a hoarder, but have enough food on hand where you can make it for 3 days without having to go to the grocery store. Have enough water on hand. Just grab a couple of cases of bottled water so you got enough for 3 days on hand. Toilet. People have to poop. Grab a pail. Have a 5-gallon pail with garbage bags, and then you can seal them up when you're done. Have some changes of clothes, some blankets, because you don't know how long you're going to be without power, how long it's going to be before help comes, and bring you more supplies.
And don't wait till tomorrow to go get the medication. You're going to be out of tomorrow. Make sure you got that a week ahead of time.
Yes, absolutely. An emergency kit. We're looking for fresh water, food, first aid, bedding, sanitation supplies. Anything that you're going to need to keep yourself going for 3 days. For making a plan, does anybody know what shelter in place is? If we had a chlorine tanker going through the street out here right now and he took over and started leaking chlorine, there's no way that we're going to get out to our car and get out of here. So we're going to have to shelter in place. What that means is we're going to close the door, we're going to block off as much of the light coming through as we can, and we're going to turn off all the ventilation, all the furnace, air conditioner and stuff. You can do that in your home. You can turn your furnace off. You can get to an interior room, go into a bathroom, put a wet towel under the door. You're going to hear that information come out either on the radio, if you have a weather radio, NOAA All Hazard radio, on the TV, you're going to hear if there's a shelter in place warning. That's what it is. And the other is the evacuation. You want to be at an evacuation point where your family knows you're going to go. Have 2 of them. If you have a fire at night, where are you going to go? Make sure your whole family knows where to go. Have something also that's out of town, in the next town, way on the edge of town where your family might know to go look for you there. But have all that set up beforehand. During an emergency isn't the time to plan for an emergency. And then other considerations are seniors, functional needs, and pets. Take care of your pets. We learned a big lesson in Waiwega with pets. We evacuated the town, and not very many people took their pets with them. There's been a lot of lessons learned from the Waiwega incident, and they're still teaching a lot of those things. And the big one is the pets, the purses, and the pills. Take them all three with you. You could be out of your home for an hour. You could be out of your home for 21 days. The biggest thing that you can do is be informed. How are you going to get the information? How are you going to find out if something's going on in the world? One of the biggest things that you can do is buy a NOAA all-hazard weather radio. And we have a bunch of them on display over here, but I'm going to grab this one here. This is the best one I think that you can get right now. We used to sell them out of our office until local retailers started selling them in town. Here we got this at Fleet Farm. It's $30. We call it the smoke alarm for severe weather. It sits on your desk, doesn't do anything. When the National Weather Service issues a watch or a warning, it'll beep and it'll start talking, and it'll tell you what the emergency is. It's an all-hazard radio, so it's going to tell you if there's civil unrest in town. They can send a message out over here. Tornadoes, floods, severe thunderstorms. And the cool part about this, there was a storm, I think it was last year, I was just listening to the radio. They'll keep updating information, giving you more and more information. And they said, you know, at 5:33 the storm's going to be in King. 5:37 it's going to be in Waupaca. And they were right on. And it's a great thing to have for your home. If you need help programming, call us at the office. I would rather have it see it set up correctly and be no question.
Is that battery powered?
It's battery powered, plus or you can plug it in, but we say this is just like a smoke alarm, replace your battery every year. It just takes I think this one is a AAA battery. Very good piece of equipment to have.
What brand is that?
This is a Midland, and it's called Easy. When you buy the one for your house, make sure that it says SAME on it, S-A-M-E. It's called Specific Area Message Encoding or something like that. But what you need to know is that SAME means that you can program it for your county. So you're only getting the weather alerts for Waupaca County. That's it. Or you can put up to like 22 counties if you live close to a border or one of the other counties. So it's not going off all the time. That used to be the problem with the old weather radios. They're going off all the time. I don't care if that Creek and Brown County's flooding. It's not affecting me. So if people would just shut it off, then they'd see weather coming and they'd turn it on. Well, at midnight, you're not going to see the storm coming. August 6th, 2 years ago, we had the storm roll through that took the church down in New London. There was some severe thunderstorm warnings put out for that, but there's never tornado warnings put out for that. If you read what a severe thunderstorm is, it's potential for a tornado. If that tornado would have happened in the middle of the day, you still would have seen the tornado in that storm. It was a rain-wrapped tornado where it was right in the middle of the storm instead of out in the front, the leading edge of it. So you would have never seen it anyways. That's why they never issued any tornado warnings on that one. But you would have been alert that there was a big storm coming.
And regardless if it's a tornado warning or a thunderstorm warning, if you've got 70-mile-an-hour winds coming at your house, I don't care if you're going in a circle or going straight, you're going to tip the tree over and make a hole in your roof.
Yeah. You got a question?
Where did you get those?
I bought this one at Fleet Farm today because I gave my other two away. Yep.
Did you give that one away?
No. Another thing you can do is watch your local media. Listen to Jack at the radio station. There's a lot of news sites you can get on the internet. Code Red. Waupaca County started Code Red last May. I think it's a fantastic program. We can generate messages and send them to your home phone. Or if you get on our Waupaca County website, click on the Code Red logo, you can register your cell phone. Everything is based on your home address or your work address. You can put both of them in there. And then if there's something that's affecting your neighborhood, you're going to get that warning. If you go in and sign up, you can get weather alerts on your phone and your cell phone. And it's a program that we've already purchased. So it doesn't cost you anything to sign up for it. We need people to sign up for it. The more people we have signed up in it, the more informed the people are going to be.
Where do you do that?
You go to the Waupaca County website. We've got brochures back here. We'll make sure everybody gets one tonight. There's a Code Red logo. You click on that, and it's really easy. If you know your name, you know your address, and you know what kind of warnings you want, you select the warnings that you want. It's super easy to fill it out. Or if you don't have internet access, or if you're just not sure you want to do it yourself, call us. I bet we've registered 1,000 people between us. It's really easy for us to do it.
Is Code Red what instigated that call from the sheriff's department?
It is. Yep.
Why didn't they follow up with another call saying that they?
Because we don't want to do that. We don't want to follow up with a secondary phone call. We want you to tune into local media to find out what's going on.
You know, there was nothing on. I finally had to call the sheriff's department because it was near my house.
And that's okay.
But I mean, for elderly people, I felt it should have been followed up.
Yeah.
That's part of the two little lessons learned when events happen. That was actually the first message that was sent out there. And the message, we looked at that, it needed to be composed a little bit differently. And we're learning from those. That was the first one that we did. Part of the thing too is there are certain cases that we probably will follow up with a message. That was a very, very large area, and how the Code Red program works is there's a certain block of minutes that we use, and we should have probably included in that original message that you should tune into or go to the radio station to get updates on that.
Yeah, and if you live close to an incident like that, and you're concerned about it, call. There's no problem with that at all.
Call who?
The sheriff's department. Yeah. Also, the internet has a lot of useful sites on that. A lot of news media sites that you can follow up on. There's a lot of, if anybody has a smartphone, there's lots of apps on there. Mine's been buzzing all night. There's just weather stuff going on all over. And, sirens. I got a soapbox for sirens. Sirens were great a long time ago. Sirens today, if the siren went off right now, what does that mean?
Air raid.
Yeah. We don't really know because there's no information with it. There's a lot better resources out there right now to use than a siren. I've had a couple of small communities come up to me and say, hey, we want to put a siren up. It's $20,000 to $40,000 to put up one siren. One siren covers 1 square mile. If we wanted to cover Waupaca County in sirens, it would be astronomical. I would rather buy everybody a $30 weather radio and they've got more information. It'll tell them that there's actually a storm, that our siren went off in town here 2 weeks ago, in the middle of the day. We still don't know why it went off. The police department didn't set it off, and we didn't set it off. So, you know, those things happen. They're very expensive maintenance for a siren. They're expensive to put in. I think money can be spent a lot better than going with sirens.
Do you have a lightning detection system that's hooked up to Code Red?
We don't. No.
Are you planning to?
No, they don't make anything that would work with the Code Red. When you sign up for the weather warnings for Code Red, that's all automatic. We don't push a button or anything for that. That's tied right in with the National Weather Service. So as soon as they issue a watch or a warning, your phone's automatically going off. And when the Weather Service issues a watch or warning, they don't issue it for Waupaca County anymore. They issue it, they put a little polygon on where that storm's at and where it's going, and that's the area that gets notified. So your NOAA weather radio can't pick that out. It will give you a Waupaca County warning. It may be sunny in Clintonville and storming here, and it's going to go off, and they're going to say there's nothing going on. But if you have the Code Red app on for your phone, you're going to know that because it only warns that polygon area where the storm actually is. Yes?
Can you link that Code Red alarm system to a security system in your house?
No.
If you haven't, there's no way to connect.
No. It just sends you a phone call, a text message, or an email. That's all that it can do.
For so often, well, okay.
So all this seems overwhelming to make the plans, get all this stuff. Well, we've got a website that makes this so easy. It's called Do One Thing. It's a new program that's out that just asks you to do one thing a month. Look at that one thing a month and work with your family on that one thing a month. And in 12 months, you're going to be set. Like in January, you start out making a plan in January, and it walks you through the different kinds of plans that you need. You need a communication plan, you need an evacuation plan, you need a shelter-in-place plan. The website for it is, I'll get to that, that's on the next slide, I'll show you the website. February, have the water. They're asking you to go get 3 days of water. If you have pets, don't forget to include them in your water. They need water. March is sheltering, April is food. Have some canned goods on hand for your food, but if you're having canned goods on hand, you better have a manual can opener. Your electrical one probably won't work when the power goes out. And then it just goes through all the things that you need. It goes through power, it talks about generators. Make sure if you have a generator, make sure you get it hooked up correctly. They offer some good things for generators. Generators have come down in price a lot, they're affordable now, but just be smart about it. Don't run them in the house. Like running your charcoal grill in the house, don't do that. Emergency supplies, first aid. So if you just go to this website, you just sign up for it, and it'll send you emails just reminding you it's April, it's time to do this. And then you just click on their link, and it just walks you through the whole steps.
And these are things you need to go through every year. The food that you're going to have in yours is going to last in 10 years. You need to get your kits out and get your plans out and actually use them. If you're campers, it's really no different than camping. These are the same things that you're going to use if you go camping. You're going to have all your can supplies, canned goods, manual can opener, you're taking your water and your cleaning supplies along. And just use it for that. But make sure you replace it and have it ready to go for the next time. But you have to do this every year.
Okay, I'm going to back up because I like this slide. One of the things I wanted to talk about is warning. Take your warning serious. I just pulled up some statistics on the Joplin tornado. A lot of people learn lessons about Waiwiga when things like that happen. When Joplin tornado hit, we learned a lot about that. 160 people died in that tornado. 160 people didn't need to die in that tornado. The studies that they did afterwards, 10% of people, not just them, 10% of the people around the country heed the warning of a tornado. Only 10% of people go to a safe spot during a tornado. The next thing that the majority of the people, they go into denial. I don't have time for it. I don't believe it. I don't know what to do anyways. They're just going to deny the storm. Those are the 160 people. So when you hear that first warning, when you hear it on your NOAA weather radio, the people in Joplin, on average, looked for 9 different sources that there was really a tornado coming before they heeded the warning. 9 different sources. Radio. I got to call the neighbors, see if they heard anything. The weather radio. But don't wait for 9. Get to your safe spot, whether it's in your basement, an interior room, away from all windows. Knock on wood. Around here we have F1, F2 tornadoes, maybe an F3. We've been so fortunate that we haven't had the big ones around here. Most of the damage and most of the injuries that we would see would be from flying debris. So just get away from those open windows. Get out of the bathtub, pull a mattress over you if you can, but just try to protect yourself.
Yeah, and an unbelievable amount of people go outside, especially with cell phones now. We have to take a picture.
Yeah.
No, you don't. In the basement.
Yeah. The average warning, from warning to the tornado striking, is 13 minutes. That's the average across the country. 13 minutes isn't enough time to go open all your windows. Don't do that anymore. Go to the safe spot, get your family to the safe spot, get your pet to the safe spot. 13 minutes goes by real quick. That's the average. Sometimes it's a lot shorter than that. Because of the Joplin tornado, the Weather Service tried to start a new program, or they have started a new program. Before it used to be just there's a tornado warning in this area. They went to something called impact-based warning, where they can kind of gauge that this is going to be a really big tornado, and they'll actually say when this goes off that there's a tornado warning for Waupaca County. These are the potential effects of this tornado. This is a large tornado. This will destroy homes. And they're going to say this right on their warning. This will destroy homes. This will tip over mobile homes. To try to get people to wake up a little bit that there's a big storm coming. And they've got 3 different categories of these impact-based warnings that they'll put out. Hopefully people will start to heed those warnings a little bit better.
The siren doesn't do that.
No, siren doesn't do that.
I have a question about the code red. I just went on the website
Yep.
and signed up, but at the end it says, would you like to create a managed account?
You can do that. If you're going to be somebody that's going to be moving around a lot, you can sign up for a managed account where they'll just ask you to put your email address in and remember a password. So then if you ever want to go back and update your information, you can do that. But if you move, you go register yourself at a different address. It's just going to,
So it's
the
not
way their database
necessary.
works, yeah, no, it's not. I hardly ever sign up anybody with a managed account. I just go through and once it's done. And the way our database works, it just it constantly scrubs itself looking for duplicate information, and it takes the most current one and keeps that one. Last November or December, we sent out a countywide message with Code Red. Sheriff Brett Hardell was our voice for that one, and it was just a 1-minute message saying what Code Red was and a little bit about it. That had two purposes. One, just inform everybody that we have Code Red, but the other thing was for Code Red to measure what our infrastructure will handle. They can send 50,000 phone calls to Waupaca County all at once, but our infrastructure won't handle that. Nobody's will. So when we first sent that message out, they sent as many as they could, and they can measure what our infrastructure will take. So for the messages that didn't go out that first wave, then they scaled it back to what they thought it could take, and they sent out a bunch again, and just testing our system. So they know what our system will take now if we have to send out a countywide message. But the nice part with the Code Red, we don't have to send it out countywide. There's not too many things that's going to affect the entire county of Waupaca. It's just going to be, I can pick your house and go quarter-mile around your house. I can do your street. I can do all the odd number houses on your street. I could send out a warning to 3 homes. I can send it out to the entire city of Waupaca. There's just so many different things that we can send out warning-wise, just to keep you safe and to let you know what's going on in your neighborhood.
But you do need to sign up, and I mean, our database, when we started out, we had about, I think it was 22,000 phone numbers that we started with in the county. And since then, we've probably added 10,000. So we're getting up there pretty good. Our goal, we'd like to get up to at least 75%. And we got a long ways to go to do that, so pass the word around.
And again, that's the only way that you're going to get the weather warnings, and it's only for a tornado warning, a thunderstorm warning, or a flash flood warning. It's not going to be the watches. They're not going to wake you up in the middle of the night and tell you that there's a snowstorm warning. It's just going to be for the big things. And everybody remembers the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch means just keep an eye out for it. It's a potential. Usually those are out 8 to 12 hours out, just to kind of keep an eye on the weather. The warning means it's going to hit you, and it's coming quick. So to do one thing, we have a lot of resources. ReadyWisconsin.gov has a lot of resources for individuals, for businesses. Red Cross, they've got a great program too on their website. They've got a lot of different plans and stuff you can use. It's just basically fill in the name, put your numbers in, and you've got a communication plan. And the National Weather Service, we like the National Weather Service. They don't seem to sensationalize weather like some of the news programs do. We still watch the news programs because we want to know what they're telling everybody. We had a storm 2 weeks ago, 26th, that went through the town of Dayton. It was a slow news day, so we had all the news agencies out here because it blew down some trees. The trees that it blew down, most of them were big trees that were rotten in the middle. They didn't have a lot of structure left to them. We had some right along the lake that had a shallow root base to start with. And we've had so much rain that soil is just saturated and tipped some pine trees over. National Weather Service comes out after big storms and they'll do an assessment because they want to know what's going on the ground. And they categorize that as a wet microburst. A wet microburst. You can go look that up if you want. But it's rain and wind. And they judge the wind on that one to be between 40 and 50 miles an hour, which really isn't a lot for wind. And then the big one here that we like is the doonething.com. Go to that website, check it out. If you need help with it, give us a call at the office. We'll be more than happy to help you get set up with that. It's a great program.
You say call the office, what is that?
We'll get some cards back here. Our office, our emergency management office, we're based out of the Sheriff's Department. We won't make you go to the jail. Okay, that's it for that. I got a couple of little short videos I want to show you.
Our information's on the back of the Code Red brochures that are on the side table over there. So Andrew's personal email address and telephone number, it's all on there. So.
Hey, don't sign me up for stuff. I like this one.
All right, I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect, that's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Isn't that funny?
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
I kind of looked back this morning, I was trying to find a little bit of background data on it. When did emergency management actually start? And it's gone through a bunch of different name changes. Probably the most recent before emergency management was emergency government. But it actually started in August of 1916. And all of us don't have our plans done yet.
This last one is, I don't know, sometimes I think I should open with this one, but we're going to close with this one. It's unfortunately our new normal, living in the United States. It's scary stuff going on right now. I don't want to scare you with this stuff, but you need to know what to do. So here's just a little short video.
It may feel like just another day at the office, but occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference. Run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important, you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority. Once you are out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911. If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. Turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. last resort. If your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm him. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.
That is unfortunately our new normal. We have to be aware of that. You know, we were kind of protected in our area until we had that shooting in Menasha a month ago. So it's just things to be aware of. That's Barbados. That's my favorite beach in the world. I'd live there in one of those tents if they let me. So I guess the takeaway for tonight is look at your surroundings, look at your home, look at your property, mitigate what you can mitigate. Prepare yourself by having your kit, having your plan. Be ready for that emergency that you can take care of yourself for 3 days if you have to. The responders are coming. Aid is coming, but you need to sometimes be able to take care of yourself for 3 days before somebody can come. Have some cash on hand. I didn't talk about that earlier. If we lose power, we lose banks, we lose grocery stores, you need some cash on hand. So keep some cash on hand. Know your insurance agent's phone numbers so you don't have to look it up on the internet when the power's out. Your cell phone, there's a good chance your cell phone's not going to work after a power outage. Your landline phone might not work. So just be prepared for all those incidents.
May I make a comment?
Absolutely.
A couple of years ago, our house got hit by lightning, and we have a TV antenna that went up. Well, it got hit, and then all of those wires come into our house because we connected our cable system to it. So we had them in every room. So electricity was, you know, like things were getting fired out of the whole house and exploding. And, well, when the lightning hit the antenna, the sound was so loud that our local fire department, someone living like a mile out of town, heard it and headed for the fire department. Because
those lightning, you've been on more lightning calls than I have, but that can do a lot of damage to your house. That's a phone call to your insurance company, because if your electronic doesn't die that day, 6 months from now it will. Your refrigerators, your TVs, yeah, lightning.
Oh yes, and just another plug for the community. You might want to have a local insurance agent, because I got mine over the internet and I bought this insurance. I called for 6 months straight, about 5 times a day, and no one would answer. And then they sent me a letter and discontinued my insurance because I was a high hazard person.
We heard there was lightning in the area.
Yeah, that's very true. Have that local agent that'll help you a lot. I remember during one storm, I called the insurance company because they were giving the guy a runaround. I'm not afraid to do that. We'll do that. One thing I wanted to put a plug in for somebody sitting in the audience. We do a lot of planning, a lot of school planning, and Dr. Peschel's in the audience tonight. He's a great partner. He's done a lot for the school system, security-wise, making it better, evacuation plans. he's kind of our guinea pig. He's our go-to guy. Hey, let's try this. And, he's done a fantastic job with our school system here, as well as all the other school systems that we work with. They're very concerned and want to make the best place they can.
Yeah, you've got a question?
I have a question. Do you deal at all with things, health things? Like, I know we're probably not going to be subject to Ebola, but any kind of a flu or outbreak, measles?
We have a lot of partners. And our newest partner that we've worked with a lot the last few years has been public health. We just did a tabletop exercise. We're doing exercises all the time, testing our plans and stuff. We did an Ebola exercise in November, the end of November. If we had somebody come into our community that had Ebola, how are we going to take care of that person? How are we going to assist public health? How's public health going to deal with it? So yeah, we do that. Luckily, we didn't have any of the egg issues with the chickens and stuff in our area. I don't want to say yet, but I think a lot of that's a pass in Wisconsin. But we're up on that. We're reading that stuff all the time, watching for that stuff in case it does come to our area, so we know what to do.
Who or what is responsible for coordinating the medical care during such a crisis?
For what? For like an outbreak?
Well, the hospitals in the area have to have a coordinator.
They do. All of our hospitals are connected. There's 2 programs that they use right now. They're all connected by internet, so they know who's got open beds if we had a big disaster or something, who can take people. There's all kinds of information they share back and forth between the hospitals. If it's a public health emergency, a lot of the decisions are made at Madison at the state health department and then brought to the local health department. We help them implement whether it's vaccines. We had a flu outbreak a few years ago where emergency management worked real close with public health, setting up the venues and stuff for, we went to all the schools and stuff for flu shots and stuff.
And there's also a healthcare coalition that's being formed now too, where it's big overhead, basically mutual aid for hospital and clinic systems, where if your hospital's overrun, they can go up a tier and it will look across the state, and they're going to pre-plan all these. It's kind of been in place before. They're changing some names around, and they've got a few different people in place on there, but it's going to kind of mimic what we do at the emergency management level.
But that includes the hospitals, the clinics, the
EMS services.
EMS services, anything related health-wise, so they're all communicating together.
Your phone is, your house phone is VoIP, and then the electricity is out.
And your cell phone don't work. That's where your communication plan comes in. Part of the communication plan is if we lose, we have a communication plan. If we lose our radios, we talk on like police radios. If we lose our phones, we've got a group of ham operators. They need their radio and a 12-volt battery, and they're going to communicate. When we have a disaster, Red Cross comes in and sets up their Safe and Well program. So if a tornado goes through Wapaka, we want everybody, you don't have to stay at the shelter, but come in and register. So if your family down in Des Moines, they can look on they can call up the Red Cross and say, is Joe Smith okay in Wapaka? And they can say, yes, Joe Smith checked in. They're not going to give out any information, but they're going to say, yes, Joe Smith is okay. And then they'll try to connect you to communicate. But that's one of the resources we use the Red Cross for, is our Safe and Well.
And as long as we're on the Red Cross subject, when a big disaster happens, people tend to want to donate and send things to the disaster site, and that's not a good thing. You don't send what they actually need. Send the Red Cross money. That's what they need, because then they can get things as they need them. They don't have to try and sort them, have people manage them, keep inventory on it, keep track of who's getting it and whatnot. The best thing that Red Cross can use is money.
We call that the second disaster. It's when the semis start rolling in with toilet paper and clothes. Now I have to take all my resources that are helping at that incident. I got to take some of them over here now, and we got to start sorting through stuff. That just takes people away from that. So it's a good thought to send them the things that they need. But if we can send the Red Cross or Salvation Army, if we can donate to one of the VOADs, the volunteer organizations in disaster, they're the ones that are on the ground, know what the people need, and know where to get it.
Even better yet, Red Cross needs volunteer help. They're getting really, really short of people, and you know, if you can help locally, our local Red Cross chapter sent a whole bunch of people down to Oklahoma, was it about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Before they got to go home, they went to Texas. A couple of them are just starting to come back now, but when they send them down there, that keeps us short here.
Always looking for volunteers, always. So is
But
everybody.
is there a regular phone anymore?
Yeah, there's a landline phone, yep.
Where can you get it?
AT&T.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's what we have, is COIP.
Yeah, you know, a lot of the cell sites do have battery backup. Some of them will come on until their batteries go dead, and a lot of them have a generator. So they're just anticipating that the power is going to be out for an hour or two. They're not set up for the 3-day power outage. There's a big ice storm that went through Tennessee. That was a few years ago. There was places, you'd think out in the sticks that were out of power. There were places in Louisville that were out of power for 30 days. It took out the supply line, I don't remember how many miles of the electric supply lines that comes in that feeds the entire community. You don't just put up new poles and put those up. That takes the whole infrastructure of the big structures to bring power back in. They actually had people coming out of the hills to teach people how to live without electricity, because we just can't do that anymore.
Yeah, we need to become better on not relying on our cell phones or landlines and a lot of those other things. But if you have your communications plan, and I'm not saying they're just cell phones or the telephones, your landline telephones, but if you know where you're going to go, sometimes you have to meet face to face, because most of those things are going to fail. A lot of people have landline phones and they wanted to save money a little bit before, so they bundled it with this and on with this and on with that.
Yeah.
That's not a landline phone.
The things that keep us up at night are the infrastructure. That's what people are going to start attacking in the United States, is our infrastructure. Our internet, our power grids, our communication. Those are easy targets. They've hardened them as much as they can, but they're still easy targets. So we need to be able to survive without that stuff for a while.
Major weather event goes through, the first thing we're going to do is to make sure our first response services are okay, fire department, police, EMS, that they're functioning. Then we're going to start looking and seeing, okay, can we get fuel for these things? Because all the fire trucks and police cars and ambulances need fuel to run. Then we're going to start looking at food, because all these guys want to eat, they have to have coffee, keep these things going, and those, you know, we start going down the line. Then we're going to start looking at some of the other businesses. But I mean, there's a hierarchy of what's important, what needs to get done first. But that's why if you have your plans in place and you have your water, you have your food at home, you have some cash, don't store up a lot of fuel, because that's just a bad thing to do. But that's going to help us, because if you can be self-supported for 3 days, that's 3 days we don't have to worry about you.
Yeah. That's one of the things we look at in a big power outage. What we prioritize, we work with the electric companies. We want our hospital back up. We want our infrastructure back up. We have to prioritize on these things, and that's a lot of decisions that we make in the EOC. Does anybody know who's in charge of an incident? When something big happens in a community, who's in charge?
You are.
Nope. Nope, we have no authority for anything. In Wisconsin, Wisconsin's called a home rule state, and it's fantastic. There's a lot of states that are jealous because they're not a home rule state. Home rule state means that the chief elected official in that community is in charge of his community. The EPA isn't going to come in here and tell us what to do. The feds aren't going to come in here and tell us what to do. It's our community, and we're going to take care of our community, because we're going to be here after the event's over. So it's important to know that your chief elected official, whether it's a township, village, or city, he's in charge of that. He may not be driving the fire truck, but he's in charge of that incident. When we have the big incident, we have our county board come in, and we've got emergency procedures all set up. County ordinance number 5, it's the emergency management ordinance. It says that when an incident happens, you guys come in here and we're making decisions. We're making financial decisions, we're making resource decisions. They're the ones in charge.
Are we talking the chair of the county board, or are we talking chair of the township?
The township. The township, when they sign, being they don't have the resources, they don't have their own fire truck, they don't have their own ambulance or police department. When a big incident overwhelms them, they'll sign an emergency declaration, which bumps it up to the county, and then we work with the township, with our county board. Because usually if a storm hits, it's not going to be one township. It's going to be cities, villages, townships. We'll have a scattering of everything. And so once they sign their declaration, and then if we're looking like we need more resources, then we sign a county disaster declaration, and we send that on to the state. And if it's a big incident, then the state may even do a state declaration.
So you're saying, know your town chair telephone number?
Good point.
Hey, and if you have a storm and it knocks down a bunch of trees and you don't see me, call me. Because that one that hit Dayton, nobody ever called. Usually when a stick falls down, we get a phone call that there's a stick in the road. We never got a call. There's trees all over the road. This happened middle of the afternoon. I got an email from the Weather Service at 9 o'clock at night saying, hey, can you go check this area tomorrow? We had a report of a lot of storm damage. You're a great thing.
And he couldn't find it. No, I mean, it was a very small area.
Yeah. So, you know, the news media moved by before we did. Because we go by what comes in at the comm center.
Did you get a call this afternoon?
There was a couple of calls this afternoon.
Because we had a wind come by,
Yep.
I did not get anything done on my
Yeah,
house.
that was probably 20, 30 mile an hour wind. Yeah, that wasn't very much. Yeah, yeah. People, it's hard to estimate wind, and we only learned that because we got a little machine that measures it, and we've gotten used to what wind speeds are. David, you had a question?
I just want to put in a plug for you guys, the work you do in that mitigation, which is so important. When you came through our schools and checked on all the potential problems that could, we made tons of changes because of that. But you two guys were so helpful in doing that, as well as the active shooter trial runs and things.
Yeah.
So, people underestimate how important you guys are.
That's one of the things that we do is we go through the schools. Eric and I do with a team. We go through and evaluate every school, just looking for different hazards. We take fire, police, EMS people, and we go through and we look at, everybody looks at it a little different. And it's a useful program. We've been through all the schools in the county a couple of times.
Do you do that for businesses and?
If they ask.
Yeah,
Yep.
other people?
Yep, absolutely.
The emergency, what I was going to ask before Dave started talking was, the emergency
People aren't here yet.
The emergency kit that you were talking about, years ago I did the FEMA.gov kit. They have a lot of information in
Yes.
FEMA.gov. Is that the same kind of thing that you
They're
have?
all pretty much the same. Red Cross, FEMA, Ready.gov, they're all pretty much the same, same kits and plans. Some of them are just easier to use. I think Red Cross's plans are a little easier to use. I like to do one thing. I mean, that just simplifies everything, makes it really easy.
Ready.gov is put out by FEMA. There is also Ready Wisconsin. That one's just tailored a little bit more to Wisconsin. It goes in a little bit more on winter weather, propane shortage, which Andy was on vacation when they sprung that on me my first year here, but that went all right.
Thank you for all you do to allow us to sleep well at night. Do you guys sleep well at night?
Tonight probably not by looking at the radar. We'll be up watching it here and there, but no. After I've been in emergency service since 1984, I sleep pretty good at night. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say a couple more questions and then we'll have to wrap it up here.
Is there a plan for the library and city hall building?
The city of Wapaka has its own emergency management committee. That's run by Steve Fensky, and he does a fantastic job with all the city planning and stuff. We've got the overall county plan, and the bigger cities each have their own committee that takes care of.
The library does have an emergency plan in place.
Thank you.
Staff knows about it.
Yeah, most of the government facilities have good emergency plans.
I'm on the committee for the city, and I would say yes, we do have a good plan. I've been on that committee for probably 8 or 9 years.
Little plug for Steve. He started with emergency management at the state level, running the hazardous material part, and now he's my regional director. He's out of the Fond du Lac office, lives in Wapaka, he's out of the Fond du Lac office. When I have a problem, I call Steve.
And he only lives 2 blocks from me.
Would you care to comment on how you deal with all of the festivals in the county?
Oh, July's coming. We do a lot of different things. Our biggest one is probably the car show. We live up there during their business hours. We work with our ham operator group, who are also our weather spotters, and they're communicating with counties. You know, if there's a storm coming, they're communicating. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. And we're communicating with the weather service. We just watch the weather for them. Some of them we take the command post out, so our reserve officers operate out of, our police officers. Each one of them is a little different We've got 3 generator light towers that we take out to some events. It's just, each one is a little bit different, but we support them all.
Generally, Iola Car Show is going to be the hottest week of the year. Scanty Corn Roast is going to rain about 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. We know that every year. The fair, I usually take off to go to Canada that week, so I
Some of your earlier slides talked about the costs of weather incidents over the years. How do you compile that, and should people be reporting their losses to you?
Right after a storm happens, we're out on the road. We've got other people we can call up, and we're out doing a damage assessment. I can look at your property, and without even getting out of the car, I can look and see if your house is 50% damaged. I can go back on the tax roll then. We have a program that kind of figures all this out, and I can figure out the estimated property damage of your house, of your property, other buildings and stuff. So when a tornado hits or a big storm hits, and it looks like it's going to be significant, maybe it's a couple of counties, we have to go out and do this damage assessment, and we have to have our figures into the state within the first 24 hours. So a storm hits, we're awake for 24 hours getting all this information. They're a little lenient about that, but they want the information as soon as they can so they can inform the governor and FEMA what's going on. And to get this whole ball rolling for us to recoup some federal money to help the locals. And when I say about presidential declarations, that's for public-owned things, like the library. If that was damaged, we could get money for that. Roads, bridges, protective measures. If we have to have police out there guarding, blocking off an area. When the trees fall down and they're out in the public, we can pay to get those removed if we get the presidential declaration. So that takes care of public stuff. But when we go through that whole process, it also opens up things for the residents that aren't insured, which would be low interest loans and grant programs and stuff like that if we had a big incident. But it takes a lot. It really takes a lot of damage to even qualify for them. I'm talking millions of dollars in public sector damage. You know, if we took a bridge out, a section of road out or something, that stuff adds up fast. If we took this library out, those add up fast. But you're never guaranteed to get the money, like we weren't in the cold winter we had last year. You're not guaranteed anything. You just cross your fingers and hope that you can get the coops.
Last question.
Let me put a plug in though for if you need information. My previous residence back in Cook County, huge flooding in that particular town that I lived in, and they sent out a plea on their own code red system, whatever you call it, to please let them know what kinds of damage you had. And it turned out not just to be, oh yeah, well, now that you're a FEMA presidential whatever, now you can apply for this. They sent money to me, actual cash money. So participate.
Yeah, get involved.
Answer.
Yeah.
Give some information because
that's very
it could mean money in your pocket.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Let's give our speakers a nice round of applause.